after I woke up, I actually knew exactly where I wanted to go and paint today. Right here, in this very beautiful place. It's actually a quite famous old boathouse that they have here in the Stavanger Kommune. And I used to live very close to this place when I first moved to Norway, so it kind of has a special place in my heart. So it's actually not surprising to me that I wanted to come here. I mean, I don't come here often, but I'm very glad that I did come here because I actually have never come here when there is snow in the ground, so it's kind of my first time seeing it this way, and I wasn't disappointed, to be honest. I'm very glad I came here. And actually, a few years ago, this little boathouse actually fell, and it was actually in the news because, I mean, it is an iconic little boathouse in this region. So yeah, it's really nice as well that they reconstructed it and left it just kind of as it was. So today I am so glad that I'm here to paint this. And it was really cold today. I mean, it was actually only -1, but it felt really cold. And I was actually waiting for the sun to come out so I could get some warmth, and also so the paint wouldn't actually freeze when I'm painting. However, I was looking around and I was looking at my subject, and then I realized one thing. The water in the shore is not frozen. The water on the rocks is not frozen, like the ones from yesterday in the lake. I mean, the little stream. The rocks there had a bit of frost around them. And here I couldn't really see that same phenomenon happening. And I was like, that's interesting. So if the sun doesn't come out, then maybe I should use the water of the sea to paint. And I was a bit skeptical about this because usually you use water with salt to create a different texture and effect on watercolors. I've never actually used it, so I was kind of scared that if I used the water, then the watercolors was going to act very differently. And well, you'll see what happens. But I was very glad that I employed this little technique. It's funny how nature provides the solutions to the problems that we have sometimes. I find that to be quite cool, to be honest. Now I'm gonna start first with the sky as always, and I'm gonna do a nice gradient because there's a lot of colors in the sky at the moment. There was this very nice cloud with some orange, yellowish, kind of the same glow that the snow had yesterday on the rocks, but a bit more dull because the light is a bit more diffused and it's a bit further away, and there's not a lot of contrast. And I actually didn't even bother cleaning my palette because sometimes that's the way that you can get the colors to communicate a little bit better between them. All that we see in nature always is a lot of grays put in together very subtly and very masterfully, you could say. That's basically what everybody that goes outside and paints is trying to replicate. It's just how nature so perfectly, distributes these seemingly saturated colors and mix them together with their complementaries and their adjacent counterparts in such a way that to our eyes it looks like this is blue, this is pink, this is orange, this is yellow. But there's just so much color within the light that we see in, for example, the sky and the water and everywhere we can see. The colors are just vibrating with each other. And I think that it's just because they're much closer together than we really think. If you were to look at a color wheel and you see that the yellow and the blue, for example, or the the purple are completely opposite to each other, making them complementaries. In nature, you can see them almost together, but they are together kind of in the center. And the way that they are in the center is when they are mixed in with more than just their complementary. So, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm getting very into the nitty gritty of color theory, but my point is that nature just has such a way of teaching us how to use color properly. And this is what I'm beginning to realize or internalize, because I knew it conceptually. I've heard it from other pros say it. But now that I'm out here and actually starting to get the hang of things, at least a little bit, I can see it much better, and I can see it in my paintings as well. Now, I'm moving into putting the mountains, the little mountains on the back, but then I see that this painting is already too wet, and so I decide to go for a smaller brush that holds a lot less water. That way I know for a fact that I won't be able to hold too much water at once, as well as I can take a lot more paint because this brush is a little bit stiffer. Therefore I can dig in a little bit better to the dried paint, which I have activated with water, which I actually now regret, because you will see in a second that because I use water to reactivate the paint, I actually get the water to freeze, and the rest of the painting that I actually use the salt water from the sea, it doesn't freeze. I mean, I just painted the whole first layer with the water from the sea, and I had no problems, and I still have no problems. I see nothing hinting that there's gonna be freezing in the paper. Now you can see that I'm laying a very thick layer of paint now to imply the mountains on the back, or the little hills. I was actually very cold this day. My left hand was hurting while holding the easel or my painting. I have to find a way to be able to have my easel and also mount the phone on top, so I can keep making these videos in this format, so you guys can see what I'm doing while I'm painting. But yeah, there was something that today just felt much colder. Maybe it's because I'm right beside the water, so it's a bit more humid. Therefore, it feels a little bit more intense on the exposed skin. But yeah, I mean, this is the joy of painting outside. I did sign up for this project, and so far I'm loving it, to be honest. Something that I was talking with my mother the other day is that I was telling her about this project, and she said, like, yeah, I mean, I can see that you're getting a lot of energy out of it, and it sounds amazing, and it's also very good because you're gonna be a lot more in touch with nature, and that's only gonna bring you good things, because I mean, being around nature for at least 30 minutes, which is basically takes me to make these videos, like getting to the location, setting up, and then shooting the video, then getting ready to leave. So yeah, I mean, in Japan they have this thing called forest bathing, I think it's called, and it's just about like going into forest for like 20 minutes, and they say that it has a lot of good things that happen from doing that. And I think that ever since I started this project, I have been feeling a bit happier, even though that's not like why I was doing it. But maybe that's why. Maybe I'm just really excited because I'm painting again every day and learning. I think that's a big one for me. If I feel like I'm learning every day, like progressing every day, oof, that's a good feeling. But marry that with painting and nature, which are two things that I love a lot, well, I think it's the recipe for happiness from my side. Now, I'm moving so quickly that I actually forgot to add two little things to make the further water look like water. And that's just a bit of a layer of like a blue because there was some wind blowing. Therefore, the distant hill wasn't really reflecting in the water as it would if it was still. So I forgot to add that. I mean, I could have added the reflection of the hills as well, but I also forgot to do that. I was just really cold in my left hand, and it was starting to cramp. Not about now, but it did start cramping at some point. So I was just trying to move as fast as I could, as you can see. Now I'm moving to make the sand. Oh no, I'm doing the reflection. Yeah, of course. This is when I thought, oh yeah, that's what I forgot for this. Like, suddenly I felt like this wasn't really working. And I'm like, huh, it's missing something. And I'm like, oh yeah, it's the reflection, of course. So when we're painting reflections, we don't want to paint exactly the shape that we're seeing. We want to distort it a bit, especially if the reflection is on a body of water like it is right now. In the picture is completely still, but I personally like it when the reflections are a bit distorted because it implies movement of the water. And yeah, I mean, it's a stylistic choice, to be honest. And I could also added a bit more movement in the water, like getting a bit of waves going. There was no waves, but I don't know, it's some elements that adds some niceness to the landscape. Like adding movement to your painting always will bring a little bit more life to it. At least that's what I've heard. But I also agree, I tend to want to add those things anyway. And a lot of the things that I'm talking about right now is things that I've heard from other people on YouTube or books that I've read or courses that I've taken. None of the information that I'm saying is me knowing everything. It's just me sharing what I know for those of you that maybe are watching these videos to learn how to paint better. And for those who are not interested in learning to paint better and are just watching because this might be calming, then I'm sorry to bore you with all the painting jargon and details. Maybe it is different. Maybe it is interesting. You'll let me know in the comments below anyway. I know that for a fact. Now, something I forgot to point out is that the water on the right side, on the right bottom mixing area, you can see that there's a little bit of frost. Not too much. It's very small, like kind of pebbles or slush, and that's where the water I used from a little spray bottle to activate the paints is. But everything else, you can see that the paint has just moved as normal, like as if it was like a warm day. And I found that to be very interesting, that salt water, I completely forgot that salt water can withstand a bit more of the cold, and I'm kind of happy that I was able to use some for today, because I think if I would have painted anywhere else and there was no sun, there's no way that I would have had a successful session, you could say, because of the lack of equipment, you could say. Also, one thing that I wanted to mention is that I know that the video would be nicer if I had a song playing in the background maybe, but it is very hard to find a song that is 15 to 20 minutes long and that fits the mood of the painting. I am looking for some people to try to make me a score, a very simple score, just of something kind of in the background, kind of like the intro and outro that I have right now. It just kind of follows the same mood of like, this is a new day, it's a new adventure, but everything is calm and nice. But yeah, I mean, I am looking into it. I'm sorry if this video is too boring without the music, but I'm working on it. And yeah, I just don't want to get copyrighted. We are approaching the end of the painting. I'm trying to look around and see what details are missing. I also did forget that when the hills were almost about dry, I wanted to use my trusty nail to scratch some distant snow plains. So now I'm trying to use some water and lift some of the paint, because it's still kind of wet, but not wet enough for me to lift it with my nail. And there I am trying to do that. Details are important, but often the most important details are those that we leave out and we do not put in the painting. Because putting too many details, depending on the style that you're going for, it can lead to disbalance. And so I am calling it a day. I don't think that I want to do anything else with this painting. So the last thing to do is to just sign it. I had a lot of fun today and I really like this place. It's a nice memory from when I first came to Norway. And I hope that you liked this video and you enjoyed watching me paint this little place and also hear the story behind it. Which wasn't a very big story, but it was a story nonetheless. See you tomorrow.